Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Oline and I'm a knitter from Norway, and welcome to my knitting podcast. Here we talk about all things knitting. We talk about whips, finished projects, yarn we want to get, yarn we have, yarn with the plan, yarn without, just all things knitting related. But before we get into that, I have something new to show you. I have quite impulsively knit myself a new cardigan. This is the April cardigan by Petiteknit, and I've knit mine in a size medium, and I've done a bit with the pattern. Originally this is knit in one strand of like a thin merino wool and then one strand of mohair. But mohair is so expensive, and I feel like a lot of my sweaters and cardigans have mohair, so I just wanted something without mohair. And I also knew that my aunt had a bit of Drops baby merino in black, so I sent her a message and asked her if she still had that, and she did. And I bought the yarn from her from quite discounted price, all honesty, because she is looking to decrease her stash. So I got this yarn really cheap, and I decided to do this cardigan with double stranded Drops baby merino. But I just, when I found out I was going to knit this, it was like quite obsessive process. I think I started thinking about this December 1st, like the evening of when I recorded the last podcast. And then I sent my aunt a message. I found out she had the yarn. I got the yarn the next day, and I just felt like I had no time to waste. So I cast on immediately, no swatching, no washing of a swatch, no nothing. And that is a little bit scary when you're knitting in another yarn that's than what's recommended. And I must say, throughout this project I was a bit afraid that it was just going to grow and not fit and not be good at all, especially when doing this button band, because I also think I picked up a few too many stitches, and I was so afraid that it was going to grow as well and just like be going out like that. You don't really want your button band to just be like that, but luckily it turned out well. But I was so nervous when I threw it in the washer late last night. I finished this late last night, got all the ends weaved in and put it in the washing machine because I really wanted to show it off today. And luckily it didn't grow. I think it maybe grew a bit, but that's more that the stitches loosened up a bit, but it didn't really grow. And I was so relieved when I could take it out of the washing machine and see that it hadn't. But I think that might be because I knit quite tightly, because my experience with Drops and their superwash yarns is that if you knit it loosely it will grow, and if you knit it tightly it won't. So I think that's what saved me. But I would recommend doing a swatch because you don't have to stress through the whole process. But I usually don't, to be completely honest. I rather stress and then maybe I have to rip back. But I usually when I've decided on a project, there's no time to do a swatch. I just have to cast it on immediately. So I cast this on December 2nd and I finished it last night, December 7th, I think. So I used about 5 days on this, and that was 5 days of quite obsessive knitting on this. I didn't knit on anything else. I was knitting on this, and knitting that much with black yarn is quite draining. My eyes hurt sometimes. I just had to take a break from knitting. And it's also quite dark here. We have a couple of hours with light day, and other than that it's pretty dark. So most of the time knitting on this, I was knitting on it with a headlight just to see the stitches. As you can see, it's really hard to see any definition at all. You see that I'm wearing a cardigan, but you can't really see any details. You have to get like really close to it to be able to see anything at all, and even then it's quite hard. So especially when doing the increases and when doing ribbing, I had to be like looking at it like that with the headlamp because it was really hard to see. When I was knitting on the ribbing on the body, my fiance even asked me if I was going to knit it so long in stockinette before knitting the ribbing, because it is just quite hard to see when it goes from stockinette into ribbing. At least it was in the dark at night, but I am really pleased with how it turned out, and it's so nice to have a basic in the wardrobe. That's why I knit this. I was like, I don't have anything black basic in wool. I don't have anything black basic at all really, so I just figured out, oh my god, I have to have a black basic cardigan. And once I had thought that thought, there was really no turning back. I just, no time like the present, let's get started. So that's what I did. I got the yarn and got started, and it's been a few really late nights and a lot of knitting, and none of my other projects have gotten any attention really, but I finished it and I'm super pleased with it, and I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of this. When knitting it, it was quite irritating because this black yarn, I feel like the darker a color is, the more hair just sticks to it. It's not just the regular amount of hair even, and you can see it better since it's dark yarn. I just feel like all the hair in the whole house just stuck to this, and we have a cat and a dog, so that's quite a lot. And I feel like the cat also just wanted to like rub herself against the project all the time. So this jacket was full of hair, and I didn't even bother to like try to deal with it while working on it. I thought I'm going to finish it, wash it, and then deal with all the hair. And I have tried to remove as much hair as possible before filming now, but I think this is a jacket that's just, it's going to be a lot of upkeep with the hair. It usually is with black clothing, but I am really pleased with how it's turned out. This is actually my second April cardigan. I have knit one before. The first ever adult pattern by Petiteknit that I knit was April cardigan, and that was the first adult pattern at all that I knit after getting back into knitting about 3 years ago. So it's really fun to see the differences in this April cardigan and the other, just because I can see like how much I've learned and progressed in the last 3 years. So I thought I might do a video just comparing the two, because there are a few differences, but let me know if you're interested in that. But I'm really happy I decided to do another April cardigan, because the other one I have, while I really do love that and I've worn it a lot since I made it, since it has a few beginner faults, and I knit it a size too small, I think, or my gauge is a bit off, so it's just a bit tight. And also there's a bit of a mix up with the button band as well, so it's just really tight around the button band and just tight in general. So I can wear it, but I wear it like that. But this I could like even button up. I just need to get buttons. So it's really nice to have an April cardigan that's just a bit better fitting, because I do really enjoy the fit of the April cardigan. I really like the saddle shoulders. I think that's going to be really hard to show, but let's see if I can do it. Can you see it? The saddle shoulder here, and then that goes into shoulder increases before it goes into regular raglan. So it's 3 different kinds of increases, and I think that gives it a really nice shape, and it just sits really nicely when I wear it. And it's really nice to have one that's actually like proper fitting, because I've seen how nice it fits on the one that's not quite right, but having this that really fits is super nice. And the first April cardigan I ever did was actually my introduction to Italian/tubular bind-off, and that really scared me. It scared me away from doing Italian bind-off, I think, for a year after that at least, before I got back into it, and now I'm obsessed. So it was really nice to be able to do this again and just see how far I've gotten, especially with Italian bind-off. I think the button band on the first April cardigan I did took me 4 hours with fewer stitches than on this one, and I think this one took me 2 hours, which is still a lot, and I was not really happy with how long it was taking me, because I wanted to go to bed and I knew that I have to weave in ends and wash it afterwards. But I think that's a significant decrease in time, and I'm really happy I got back into Italian/tubular bind-off, because it is a really nice finishing touch. And I just want to say, if your first time doing Italian bind-off scared you off, get back into it and try again. But I would suggest learning it while doing children's clothing, because the circumference is just a lot smaller, so it's easier to do. It's more fun to do. You just get through it quicker, and you don't have to have quite as long a yarn tail and everything. So that's what saved me and saved my relationship with Italian/tubular bind-off. So that's just a little tip from me. But yeah, I'm super happy with my April cardigan, and I stayed up late last night just to finish it so I could show it to all of you, because I'm just so happy with it, and I imagine this will be used loads. It's just really nice to have a basic. I have a couple of grey and white basic cardigans, but it's also nice to have one in black, and I can imagine myself in this black cardigan with my super green what's it called, camisole number 9, in this bright green color like this. I can show a picture of my camisole, that camisole with this black cardigan over. I think that would look really nice, and using this black with just other pops of color, I'm really excited for that. And I think I'm going to have to knit more colorful things to go with this cardigan. But I think that's all for this cardigan, and then we can get into all of my abandoned whips. First off, we have the whip that has been the most abandoned. This is my Sophie scarf, also by Petiteknit, and I'm knitting this up in Araucania yarns in Mana, and this is in the color Celestial, and I am simply obsessed with this color. Oops, there my needle went. I am obsessed with this color. I brought this color along with me everywhere I went when I was knitting on this black April cardigan. Everywhere I was knitting on this yarn also was, because when I was knitting with all of that black yarn, being able to look to the side and see this yarn just saved me. Look at that yarn. It's so pretty. I love the variegations in color, and it's just I keep looking at it all the time. This captures my eye. I must say I'm really fond of blue. Blue is my favorite color. I choose blue almost every time I have the chance. But this blue color, I think, is the prettiest blue I've ever seen. So I'm so happy to be able to knit with it, and I think a Sophie scarf in this will be really nice. It's 100% silk, and I think just a silk scarf will be really nice. And not only is it pretty to look at, it's also really nice to work with. so I have been missing working on this week, but there's just not been any time to work on anything else than my April cardigan, because I just really wanted to get that finished, partly because I didn't want to have too many whips. But yeah, it's pretty much the same as it was last week. I think I have done maybe one row, which is not noticeable, but I am super excited to get back into this, and this also I think would be a really nice pop of color with this black April cardigan. So I am super excited to continue working with this, and I am knitting up the largest size. I think I'm going to do that because even though I love this yarn, I don't want to just have it sitting around to look at. I want to use it, so I'm going to knit the largest size in the Sophie scarf and then see how much is left. And I might do more Sophie scarf and do them as gifts, maybe even for Christmas, or I will have to figure out something else. Maybe they could be nice penny gloves as well as a matching set, but that depends on how much is left. This is 100 grams, and I think 100 grams is 200 meters. So I'm excited to see how much is left after I'm done, but I need to get back into knitting on this. But that's definitely the plan this week. This is going to be my mindless project when I just want to sit and knit and don't think about anything. And I am super excited to get back into this. As you can see, I'm doing a lot of selfish knits. For it being right before Christmas, I should be doing Christmas gifts and all of the other Christmas related knits I am planning on doing, but I just have been so inspired and had so many plans for selfish knits, and knitting is supposed to be fun, so when I want to knit something else than I should do, I would rather knit what I want to knit. And also, if I'm knitting on something I don't really want to knit on, I get so slow. I just slug away at it, and I take so many breaks, and it's not efficient at all. So I found that the most efficient thing for me is to just knit on what I really want, like this April cardigan, and then like get it out of my head and out of the way, and then I'm able to move back into what I should work on. So that's what I've been doing, but it's not the best time of the year to have all of these ideas for selfish knits, but that's just how it is. Luckily I haven't planned too many gifts this year, but the gifts are a bit big, so I'm nervous to see if I get everything done until Christmas. But in my family, basically everyone does handmade gifts, and it's almost a bit of a tradition that at least one person gets an unfinished project with needles and everything, or it's not, the ends aren't weaved in, it's not finished, there's always at least one of those, so I don't think it would be a huge problem, but it would be really nice for me to just have everything done by Christmas Eve, so I could focus on just whatever I want to do after that. Not that I don't want to do this gift, but just not having anything hanging over me and that I should do. But that said, I can show you my one whip that is a Christmas gift, and that is this Louisiana, also by Petiteknit. I am knitting a lot by Petiteknit. This is in the size large, and I'm knitting with drops air. I'm double stranding drops air. I think it's in the color off-white, might be just in the color white, but I feel it's off-white. Last podcast I think I was about to here, and my goal then was to finish the body, and I managed to do that because I finished the body on this before I got the yarn for my April. If not, I don't think it would have been finished, but I did finish it. I finished all of the body, and then I started on the ribbing, finished that, and did Italian bind off. I love Italian bind off, so I do it on every project, kind of no matter what. Unless something else is specified, then I might do something else. But it's not the favorite. It's not my favorite look with fluffy yarn. It's not that anything else looks better with fluffy yarn, really. It's just that I think Italian bind off, you get the most bang for your buck when doing it with non-fluffy. I don't, honestly, it's not my favorite thing even with mohair, but give me like a good like DK or honestly even thicker yarn, like the zipper sweater. I love Italian bind off of those. When it's not fluffy, it's just like a harder type of yarn, maybe I would describe it as. I think that is such a good look, but I don't mind it with fluffy yarn. It's just not the best look, I think, but that's because I don't love fluffy yarn at all, really. I think the stitches and everything can look a bit wonky, a lot easier with fluffy yarn, but luckily the main stitches on this are laying quite flat and behaving quite well. I wouldn't say I have a problem with it, but when working with bigger needles, my hand tends to cramp up a lot more because my hands don't like thick needles, and that often leads to my stitches looking a bit more messy or a bit more wonky. But with Drops Air, I'm not having that problem at all. My hand is still definitely cramping up because my hand does not like big needles, but the stitches are just not that affected by it. So that's really nice, and I'm going to keep that in mind next time I'm going to do a chunky sweater. And even though I don't love chunky sweaters and fluffy yarn, I am a bit tempted to knit myself a Louisiana sweater because I think the look is really nice, and even though I don't want a closet full of fluffy sweaters, I think having one would be really nice. And in winter as well, just a high neck and a fluffy sweater, I think it would be nice. And also the yarn is so soft. It's been quite a while since the last time I worked with Drops Air. It's not my favorite, since fluffy yarn isn't my favorite, so I don't tend to work with it a lot. And last time I worked with it, I think I held it single, and I don't like that as much. But Drops Air held double is just so soft. It's like a dream, and it's been quite nice to knit up as well. So I think I'm going to do more Drops Air projects. And also a Louisiana is a great gift knit. The yarn costs a bit, but it does knit up very quickly, and it's an amazing gift. For this one, I have actually elongated the body quite a bit. This is the size large, I don't know if I said that. And the body for that just wasn't long enough. I'm knitting for quite a tall friend, so I asked her to just send me her measurements from like the neck down to her hip. And then I've knit from that. I think I've added between 15 and 20 centimeters before the ribbing. The ribbing is the same length as in the pattern. So it is quite a long boy, as you can see, but it went by really quickly on 9mm. So I now only have the arms left to do, and I think those are going to go by quite quickly as well because these arms don't have any decreases. So I just need to get them on a 9mm 40cm circular and start knitting. And I am honestly quite happy that I had such a long break from this because my hands were really starting to notice knitting with chunky needles for an extended period of time and so many stitches. So having a whole week just off from this, I think, was exactly what I needed, and now I can get back into it and just really chug away at it and get through those sleeves, and I hope and think that this is going to be finished quite quickly once I just get back into it. I haven't had a lot of time to knit yet today, but I'm going to be knitting on this when I finish filming, and honestly, hopefully I will be done tomorrow. I would really like if I got the sleeve done today and then the other one tomorrow. So that's my goal, because I have a lot of other plans for this week, so I just have to start getting things out of the way. But that is all for this Louisiana. Not a lot to say when you haven't worked on it for a week. But I would normally talk about finished projects now, but the only thing I finished was this April cardigan, and we've already talked about that. I can mention that because I have finished this, I can now say that I did accomplish my goal this year of knitting myself one selfish knit each month. Yeah, I have only counted with the like bigger items like sweaters and cardigans. I haven't counted beanies or socks or scarves. I've only counted the bigger items. I think I'm going to do the same next year, 12 items for 12 months. If you want to join me in doing that, kind of as a knit along, where we each month do a project, you can decide how big or small of a project you count, but doing one project for ourselves each month. If you want to join me, let me know. I think that would be a really nice knit along, and it's really reminded me this year to knit something for myself each month, because previous years I have been mostly doing gift knits or knits for my son, but he's getting bigger now, so I have time to focus more on knits for myself. But if you're interested, let me know, and we can knit together for 12 months and knit ourselves a couple of beautiful things. But with that said, we can move into my plans, and I have a lot. So I just need to look here because I've written them down to remember them. I think the most important plan is to finish the Christmas gifts. And the Louisiana, almost done, so that's one of the Christmas gifts. And then I have the Eva cardigan for my sister that I at least hope to cast on this week. That would be really nice if I got to do that. And then for my aunt, I've settled 100% on what I want to do for her, because she's a knitter, and I just feel like it's way harder to knit for a knitter because I don't know exactly what she has. I know she knits. Maybe she has enough hats, and then it would be dumb to do a hat, but that's something I am considering. And then I would do Hipster Hat either in Lima in the color Almond or in the color Chalk. So that's what I'm going to do. If I'm doing a hat, I did a Hipster Hat in this color for her brother, so they could get matching ones. Or another thing I am considering is to knit her penny gloves, because I want to eliminate this yarn from my stash, and I don't know if she has enough hats, and if she does, I don't think she has a lot of like penny gloves looking things. So I just have to make my mind up about that. Don't know, but I might be doing penny gloves in this Drops Alpaca in the color beige. This is just a leftover from a previous project, and I am trying to get through all of my leftovers and scraps and try to start the new year with... I'm going to start the new year with a lot of yarn. There's no getting away from that, but I'm hoping to start it with as few as possible like scraps that I don't know what to do with. A lot of this yarn has a plan, so that's okay, but if the yarn doesn't have a plan, I'm trying to either use it or at least find a plan for it. And yeah, but those 2 Christmas gifts I'm definitely doing, so I'm hoping to be able to cast on both of them this week. And then I have a Christmas gift that I might be doing. If I have the time, I would love to knit my son a Christmas gift, and then I'm going to do his Eva cardigan. So if I'm going to do that, I need to know that I've gotten far enough on the other Christmas gift that I have the time to knit him his Eva cardigan. But if I do that, I'm going to do it in mjuk Vestavin, in this lovely deep dark blue, and it's not the same yarn I used for my Eva cardigan because I used Pergynt, but I already had this yarn that I imagine doing my Eva cardigan in. I just didn't have enough for the adult size, but I do have enough for him, so we'll be matching, and I have the buttons and everything, and he's super excited for it, so I would love to be able to give him that for Christmas. I just need to know that I have the time, but that would be great. And then another thing I would love to do for Christmas if I had the time is to knit him his Christmas jumper. I'm not talking about like a Santa themed jumper, but just a sweater he can wear on Christmas Eve would be lovely. I think the one he wore last year still fits, but just barely, and I would love to make him a new one. I've made him his Christmas outfit every year, the first Christmas he had, and then the one last year, and I would love to be able to do that this year as well. But I have a lot of Christmas gifts and other plans to do, so I'll just have to see and wait until maybe the last week before Christmas and see if I can squeeze it in then. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start planning it this week, so if I see that I have the time, everything's planned, so I don't have to use the very little time left then to figure out what pattern, what color, if I have the needle, and like figure everything out. If I see I have the time, I want everything to just be like go, 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 and I don't have to think about anything, just being ready to go. So I'm going to start planning that this week, look in my stash, see what colors I feel would be nice for Christmas Eve and also regular life, because I want a sweater I knit to be able to get used more than once. So going to start planning that. And then, like, the maybe biggest thing I've been thinking about is that I really, really, really want to knit myself a dress for Christmas, and it's delusional. I have so many other plans. I just knit myself a big selfish knit that stole a lot of time from my other projects, but while knitting on this, I just could not stop thinking about knitting myself a red dress also, aka Nora Knits, I think that's the name. She's knitting a Christmas dress for herself in red, and I wouldn't say jealous, but just really inspired, and I think it's really nice, and having a Christmas dress would be really nice, and hers turning out so pretty, and I really want a Christmas dress myself, and I don't have anything red in my knitted wardrobe, I've noticed, so it would be really nice to knit myself a red dress, but I don't have the yarn for it. I don't really have the time for it, but I've been telling myself, because I'm just feeding into my delusion at this point, that no, it's knit on chunky needles, it's knit with chunky yarn, it would go by so quickly, you can do it. Just the one I'm looking the most at is the Augustine's number 11, I think now. And that's also 100% stockinette. So I'm thinking to myself, no, it's stockinette, it would go by so quickly. So I quite want to do it, but I'm trying to tell myself that don't really have the time, and I also don't want to buy more yarn this year. I have enough, and I have so much in my stash that I'm so excited to get to, so I would rather not buy yarn, but I do really want to knit a Christmas dress and be able to wear a dress on Christmas, so I'm really conflicted on it, but I think I just have to tell myself to stop, and I can maybe do it for New Year's, or I can do it for Valentine's, or I can do it for next Christmas. I think next Christmas would be best. But yeah, I just can't get a red Augustine's number 11 out of my head. So I've just been thinking a lot about that. But since I am trying to tell myself and convince myself not to do it, I've told myself that no matter what, I am getting something knitted that is red. So my plan is to steal some of my mother's yarn, because I have noticed last time I visited that she has some red drops baby merino, and she doesn't use a lot of baby merino, and I have kind of talked to her about that, but I want to take her yarn and make a December bow for myself, because I've seen a lot recently people make December bows and then turn it into a hair tie some way. I don't know how to. Maybe I'll have to reach out and ask them. But that would be lovely to have in your hair. It would be a nice pop of color for my black April cardigan. It would be nice on Christmas Eve to have something red in the hair, like a tiny bow. It's just super cute, and I've been obsessed with it since I've seen all these pictures on Insta now. And it's a pattern that I have been thinking it for really long, so I'm really excited to get into it. So I'm just going to have to visit my mom and steal that yarn. Hopefully I will be able to make that December bow this week, actually, because I just really want to. I think it would be really cute, and I've just been thinking a lot about it, so I hope that that can kind of take the edge of me really wanting that red dress and like make me able to wait until next year, because I have one really huge plan I want to do before Christmas, and that is to make all our Christmas tree decorations. We are going to have a Christmas tree for the first time, and we have a cat and a dog, and they don't get along at all, really. They can exist in the same room, but they fight a lot, and tails wagging and everything, and then also a toddler running around. We don't want breakable ornaments, we want just soft ornaments, and when we talked about that, I thought that's the perfect opportunity to knit all of our ornaments. I don't have any plans at all, so that's what I hope to do. I don't have any red yarn because I don't knit in red, apparently, but I have talked to my grandma and gotten this red. Isn't it lovely? This is ullteppegarn til strikking og veving, so it's wool blanket yarn for knitting and wefting, I think, and 50 grams is 200 meters. I think it's for felting, honestly. It's a really rough yarn, so that's why I didn't want to use this red for my December bow, because if I'm going to have it like in my hair and everything, I want it to be softer. This is a really rough wool, but I think a couple of December bows for the tree in this color, and maybe, I don't know exactly what patterns I'm going to do. I've been trying to look, and I found a couple of I like, but I don't feel like I've found enough to make ornaments for the whole tree. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know. But I'm going to make something out of this, really nice with red on the tree. I'm super excited for it, super excited to make ornaments. And then I can't just have red ornaments, so what I have decided to do is that I have this big basket of leftovers, and in this there are a lot of different yarns, fibers, colors, but for example this sage green baby merino, maybe I can make something from that. I have some white drops alpaca, some white drops lima, I have some black flora, I have a lot of blues and greys and browns, I even have some pink, maybe I want to do something with that. So I'm going to go through this whole basket and pick out colors, hopefully that go together, and then start making ornaments. I am thinking maybe doing some angels. I've seen Sandnes Garn has something on that, and then I've seen like the stjärna pattern. I want to do that, and then of course the December bow. And after that I'm starting to struggle a bit. I think I want to do like the typical ornament, like the round thing, but those scare me a bit. But yeah, if you have any suggestions what would be nice, maybe with color work even, to mix all of this together, let me know, because that is my maybe biggest plan before Christmas, is to make all of the decorations for our Christmas tree. But I think that would be really nice, and also to turn all of these scraps, because it is nice yarn, it's just so little that I don't really know what to do with it. Being able to turn this yarn into something that we can use, and having it year after year, maybe adding a piece here or there. It could honestly be like an heirloom thing. I think that would be really nice, and I'm super excited for it. I just need to get everything else out of the way too, and I'm hoping everything is finished by Christmas Eve, because I am planning to cast on my porcelain sweater on Christmas Eve. That's going to be my Christmas Eve cast on, all fingers crossed, because I am what's it called, maybe hosting. I'm having a knit along for the porcelain sweater. You don't need to start on Christmas Eve, just if you want to join in the porcelain sweater call, send me a message on Instagram at strikkoline and I'll add you to the group. Some have already started. People are going to start at a bit of different times, but I think most of us are starting Christmas Eve. So if you're interested in joining our knit along for the porcelain sweater, there's no like end date. You don't have to knit it quickly. There's no like hard rules. But if you're interested in that, just send me a message and I'll add you to the group. But with all that said, and having shared all of my plans, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please leave me a like and a comment. That means the world to me. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe and remember to hit the bell button. And thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next Saturday as well. Bye!